yours truly, Mad Mike. So today, before I start, I'd like to do a little bit of an intro where I talk about a couple things. So, first and foremost, thank you guys so much for all the support that you have given me. I honestly did not expect my DMT trip report to get, we're at almost 600 views now, and it's been a week. So I really appreciate that, guys. Thank you so much. And also, along with that, you guys may have noticed that I deleted all of my old videos from this channel. The reason for that is since I've been getting more views and subscribers, I really do not feel too comfortable showing my face in videos. So that's why, I deleted those. I will remake all those videos in the future. For sure. But I hope you guys understand. So, without any further ado, let's get right into this trip report. So, today, the substance I am going to be talking about is Salvia Divinorum. Now, Salvia Divinorum is an extremely potent hallucinogenic compound. Um, it's legal in many states, although it is controlled in quite a few as well. So it has sort of a gray area legality. Um, it's also a very atypical hallucinogenic substance too. It doesn't act how most psychedelics act. Doesn't really act how most deliriants act. It kind of stands out in its own category. So, that being said, its mechanism of action is it is an antagonist at the K opioid receptor. This causes dissociation, and only one other substance actually falls into this category of K opioid receptor antagonists, and that is ibogaine, which is another hallucinatory substance. Um, there actually might be more K opioid receptor antagonists, but I am not 100% sure. If there are, they are fairly rare. So, Salvia divinorum is usually pretty inactive when you smoke the leaf. That is because the active alkaloid salvinorin A is in very small quantities in the actual leaf matter. Some people do report tripping from leaf matter itself, but most people have the most intense and crazy experiences from extracts. When I did salvia for the first time, I did a 10x extract. This wasn't quite enough, even. And I remember like I got a kind of borderline dissociating state when I took when I smoked the 10x extract, but it wasn't anything crazy. So after I did that, I was sort of, I kind of felt disappointed or cheated out of the salvia experience. So, like any idiot would do, I decided to order some 60x extract. Now, this is really where the shit hit the fan with salvia for me. I remember the first time I did the 60x extract was at one of my good friends' houses. And it's not really a house, it's an apartment, more or less. Well, it's not more or less. I mean, it is an apartment, and it faces a woods, which is really cool. He has a very large window that looks out onto the woods in the back of his apartment complex. So we were sitting on the couch, and he ended up doing DMT that day. But I decided I wanted to do salvia. So he kind of helped me, pack a bowl. It was a fairly large Bon bowl of this salvia, and he helped me light it. I took the first hit, held it all in, and I felt pretty pretty buzzed. Okay, I mean, I had a very strong dissociating buzz. I also remember off of that first hit, I felt like somebody had taken control of my mouth, or something had taken control of my mouth. I felt like there was hands or like little claws in my mouth, kind of moving it from side to side, which was really unsettling. I won't lie. And when my friend tried to talk to me, I tried to talk back, and all that came out of my mouth was mumbo jumbo because I literally could not move my mouth. And that's a thing that you see on a lot of these salvia trip reports. You'll see it's pretty common where people kind of lose their ability to talk, they lose their ability to stand. It's not like DMT at all. It's not like any of the typical psychedelic drugs. It's very, very unique. Also, a cautionary note. It's not like DMT where you kind of lose consciousness. Okay, most of you probably know this, but on Salvia, you move around, like you can walk. And it's very common where people will move around and, kind of flop around or whatever off of Salvia. So just be careful. Make sure you're in a safe setting when you do this. I was on my friend's couch, was it was safe. But don't do it off of like a balcony or anything like that. Don't be doing that. That's a really bad idea. So basically, I took this hit and I held it in. You have to really ghost salvia hits for them to work. And I got the giggles, I got that mouth thing going on, or I couldn't really talk. But that was about it. And my friend kind of picked up on this, and he was like, "You're not really in a salvia trip. You're kind of just, scratching the surface of one right now." So he sort of coaxed me into taking another really big hit, and I did this, and I actually took two big hits in succession, which really, really threw me into Sally space, as they call it. Um, After I exhaled the last of the two hits, which I didn't really exhale because there's really nothing to exhale. I ghosted it. I remember everything just went away. The world as I saw it, it was gone. My friend was gone. The couch was gone. The living room was gone. I couldn't see out the window anymore. It was just like white, and I felt like I was falling, 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 like back into the couch. And eventually, I sort of felt like I stopped falling, but I was left in this white, one-dimensional plane of astral space. Um, there was nothing there except for like these odd honeycomb shaped patterns. That's really all I can remember from that part of the trip. Like it was this one-dimensional plane with these very flat, almost like honeycomb looking shapes, hexagons. Um, and then from that empty space sort of appeared like these lines. Um, but as they kind of like got closer to me, and I realized that they were like flattened pieces of cardboard or like plywood or something. At least that's what they looked like. And they sort of started building on top of each other. They sort of started forming a shape. Um, and after a while, of these things coming together and forming this shape, I realized that it was a castle. It was a very like rudimentary, kind of like a cardboard cutout castle, um, which was really weird. It sort of looked like one of those little kid playhouses. If you guys have ever seen those or know what I'm talking about, there's these like playhouses they make for kids that look like castles. It sort of looked like one of those, and you know, at this point in the trip, I had no recollection of like who I was or what had happened or if I even did a drug. I had really had nothing left. I had no memories to connect to anything, which sounds terrifying, but it wasn't terrifying because I had nothing to even connect to the memory of fear or, I had nothing really left of me to realize that this isn't really how it's supposed to be. This isn't what real reality is. Like from my perspective, this is how it had always been. So as these things kind of built up and got closer, I felt like I was lifted up from the back, and I sort of like was wedged into this castle, and I realized that I was a piece of this castle. I was a piece of plywood or a piece of cardboard or whatever material it was made out of. Um, and this was really, really like just like whoa, it was just a super weird realization that I had always been a piece of cardboard and I always will be a piece of cardboard, and now I'm a piece of cardboard in this castle. Um, and rapidly after that, everything kind of started like breaking down. Like the pieces of the castle sort of started like folding in on each other, and it sort of like folded into a flat pile. of these pieces, and I was in this pile. Um, and then it looked like a book closed on this pile, and I realized that this was a pop-up book of a castle, and it was unfolded, and it formed this, castle-looking shape. Um, but when the book closed, the shapes all folded back up together. And this is kind of when I started coming off of the trip. Slowly, gradually, everything became. I started seeing things. Kind of this plane started breaking down, and I started seeing like 3D objects again. And it was a really, really uncomfortable come down. I remember it felt like my body was being physically pulled sort of out of this piece of cardboard. I was like kind of like a piece of cardboard. Then I was a cardboard person. Then I was like a person who thought that they were a piece of cardboard. Then I was, myself again. But it was really weird. And I will say though, people describe Salvia trips as very negative and terrifying. It was pretty scary, but I do think that I got something out of this trip because when I came back to reality, I had so much more appreciation for everything that I had because, as far as I was concerned, 2 minutes ago when I was on the Salvia trip, all that had ever been and all that ever would be was this plane of reality, this one-dimensional plane, and I was a piece of cardboard in this plane, and that's how I thought that's kind of what I succumbed to. I kind of accepted that this is how it would always be. And I feel like salvia can help cure some forms of depression even because it gives you a really, really great sense of appreciation when you come out of it for everything that you have. At least for me it did. Um, so that's my little report on Salvia. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys want another trip report of a different substance, or if you have a suggestion for something that I should review, let me know, and I will definitely see what I can do. So I hope you guys have a great week. Have a great rest of your night, and Mad Mike is out.